This is a soul fire production.
Alrighty, here we are, episode 47 of the Native Overstayer podcast. Cuz, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I like your jersey.
You like my jersey?
Is that Hugglepuff?
That is really nice.
Yeah.
What's on the back? Is it leaving?
No, this is a commemorative jersey that that my son got actually.
Hey!
For it's a Mags jersey for
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we went
yeah.
up to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Came up to see you, mate.
Yeah, I remember.
With Jeff, you gave us access to those fields up in Hong Kong there.
Yeah, boys did well, had a bit of fun.
They did. They loved it, mate. It was awesome. It was an awesome trip. So this is a commemorative Mags jersey that all the boys got at the end of the year, along with a booklet and memories.
That's cool.
Great
Yeah,
memories.
yeah, it's cool. It is, and I found it in my son's cupboard. I think.
Yeah.
Hey,
With that, and he's not home.
Pulls it out very well.
Good score.
So I put it on, and here we are. But today we're joined by our guest, special guest, Puia. How are yours?
Welcome, man.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man. It's been a wee while getting you here, bro.
Yeah.
Good things take time, right?
Good things
Good things take time.
Good things take time.
Everything's got our line, you know.
That's
the
right.
planets,
Oh, Matariki, bro.
the health.
That's it, bro. That's
Yeah.
it. But we're really grateful that you've come in, man. I mean, I know your story and the story that surrounds you, and you know, that's been a part of my life as well, because I've known you since the early 90s, I think. Became involved in Puia Rugby League, and your family were very involved in that club back in those days. So thank you very much for coming in and being able to share your story. You know, that's I think it's an important story to share, and you know, we'll go into it in a little bit of detail tonight if that's all good with you, man.
Yeah, like I said, I'm open book.
Yeah.
Happy to talk about anything and everything.
Yeah. Well, we both think it's important when we discuss suicide and the effects it has on family, and also your health issues that you've had, you know, with, you know, been hit with a few big sticks, mate, in your life, which is, and you're still here smiling, mate, and you're still playing league, which is, you know, that's incredible, bro. So, yeah. Guys, got any opening questions?
Mate, where were you born and raised then?
So we were born, mum and dad Central, dad's Ponsonby, Anglesey Street, and mum Dean Street, just up in Newton. So we've always been Central. We grew up pretty much at dad's family home down Anglesey Street, but from my earliest memories is in Puia, Montrose Street. But yeah, always lived Auckland Central, whole life growing up. Doing the missions, the walks to Point Erin pools. From Puia on a hot day, you just want to get there, to walking to Mags.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're a Mags boy as well, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, and well, I think your whole family went through that.
Yeah, all of us went through. Two elder brothers, Jay and Darryl, both prefects at Mags.
Yeah.
My younger brother was, I think he was a prefect as well, I'm not too sure, but all the boys always tell me, and I just went to school.
Nothing wrong with that.
I just participated.
So speaking of your older brothers, I mean, you got Jay, the Puia farmer, good-looking fella, and then we have Darryl. This is the gentleman or the young fella that we're here for tonight. You know, tell us a little bit about Darryl back in the day. What sort of young man was he growing up?
Darryl, to me, Jay was always like he was Adonis. He worked hard. He had discipline with his body, with his schoolwork, and just with who he was in general. Darryl came a lot more natural to. He was. He would have been, like, sporting wise, he would have been the standoff to Stacey James's halfback.
Yeah.
And he had flair, he had style, he was very charismatic. You know, for somebody so young, and for me growing up seeing it, it was, you know, it stood out. And he again, Jay and Darryl, both of them, you know, A bursary, B bursary, A bursary in the subjects, and so even though Darryl was smaller in stature, he he was a massive part of me learning about people,
Yeah.
and as you grow up,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, just to clarify, you're okay to talk about this, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't want it to bring back any
Nah.
stuff that you might have dealt with, but to me, Darryl was very talented at league. He was a natural,
Yeah.
and he had a charisma and a charm about the Puia. You know, everybody that knew Darryl liked Darryl. Basically, from what I observed, as a young man myself, you know, I kind of wanted to be like Darryl. Kind of wanted to be like Jay, you know. But were there any signs when Darryl was younger that there might have been any mental issues or anything like that? Or?
Because I was younger, you don't understand fully. You can see things going on,
Yeah.
but you don't. Yeah, you're a kid. You're living your own life, and you got your own stuff to worry about and think about. So you don't actually. It doesn't register with you. Like obviously now would, you know. And there was would have been before he actually committed suicide, about maybe 6 weeks before. And sorry, I have to say this, but like my timing when I think about time and how things went, it's all fuzz. So I may get some things. I may jump from one place to the next as I'm talking.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, he took a whole lot of like Panadol. I can just remember all the empty packets, you know. And he had a severe asthma attack. They ended up having to take him he ended up in the hospital. But yeah, to me that was probably the only sign that I can fully remember vividly. Yeah, yeah.
I guess being footy players at the time as well, can I ask, did Darryl ever suffer any sort of serious concussions or any head knocks?
Yeah.
Maybe even at a young age?
Yeah, definitely. Like we all do when we're growing up. And again, we didn't know what we know now back then.
Yeah.
There wasn't as much, obviously knowledge behind it all, and head knocks and what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say every young kid that plays any physical sport has had a head knock in some form of concussion, whether it's small or big. It's still a concussion, and we don't really see it. We didn't really see it back there or know the signs fully. So without a doubt, there was no medical evidence that I ever saw that, you know, but without a doubt.
Yeah, sure.
That's interesting actually, because you wouldn't have noticed because you're a younger brother, but I wonder if ever mum and dad noticed a change in behaviour after you had a concussion or two, you know? Because like you say, back in the 90s, I remember waking up in the changing rooms many times thinking, who won that? Who are you guys? And then it would be like, are you allowed to play next week? Yes, I don't remember this game, but I'll play next week. I did that many times. You're right, Pat.
No, I'm all good to sit on the bench for topside.
I'll go on. It's fine. I'm great. But you don't realise the consequences of it. Oh, well, now we do, but back then.
You just didn't think about the consequences or the impact that it would have on later life. You just thought what was happening to you then, and in your immediate future and your immediate past.
Interesting, man. Fascinating. So leading up to the Panadols that he took, what was that? Did you know what that was for? Was it sore or?
I think that was his first attempt.
Yeah,
taking the Panadols. He took shitloads. Really? I remember 2 empty boxes, and I just remember the silver packets. All over the place in his room, and and I think that's all. Like that was all the notice I took for the next until he actually passed. I didn't ask why. I didn't talk to him and try to find out why or what happened. I just carried on with my life. And then again with timing, I'm not too sure how long before. I mean, how early it was. I I'm not too sure about the gap of when he took the Panadols to when he committed suicide. The time frame is lost on me.
Of course. That was definitely sort of a warning sign. That something
definitely
was going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I had no idea of that. That's the first time I've heard it when you told me that. So it's kind of all right. Darryl's circle of friends, had they changed, or were they?
Nah.
They were still the same Puia boys.
Yeah, well, you know, again, because we grew up at Puia, it's a family club, so we all knew brothers, cousins, sisters, uncles, aunties, and we all hung out together. Everybody would obviously have their friends away from with all of us hanging out together. But no, it was because we grew up in Central, we went to Mags, we knew players, we knew people from Richmond because we played against them, Mount Albert, Marist, you know, everywhere. And so when you're that young, and like obviously mum and dad were running touch at the time too.
Yeah, that's right,
So mum and dad used to run a touch comp down at Western Springs. Started off at Walker Park in Port Chev, got too big, so moved to Western Springs, got even bigger. And so, with that, through league and athletics, and back in those days, everybody knew each other pretty much.
And everybody especially knew the Puias, eh?
A lot of people, you know, they both played representative footy. Jay played, he went to athletics for New Zealand, Trans Tasman Sports, all that sort of stuff, junior Kiwis. And so, we were a family that was very sporting, and I mean, the touch had 90 teams there down at Western Springs at one point, and mum and dad had to go 2 days, so Friday and Wednesday, just to be able to run it. One of the last touch comps I can remember was mum and dad they held a one-day touch tournament to pay for Darryl's fees for uni.
Oh,
He had a big.
There you go.
Mum and dad ran one-day touch tournament, and Darryl's team took it out.
As they would, they were a gun team.
Gun
team. So they had a lot of up-and-coming stars in their team. So.
And a lot of family, you know. All the families were playing together, like Uncle Lay and Eli. All of those guys. And a lot of other people from Central. There
was a great initiative by mum and dad, mate. It's awesome.
How's mum and dad now?
So dad passed away in 2008. Had a heart attack at work. That fella, he's the hardest working man I've ever known. The nicest guy. I mean, I knew him as dad and knew he was a good fella, but to hear so many people talk highly of him, and even to this day still talk about him. Very similar to Darryl. I had last year, I was over at a mate's place, and his uncle had grown up Central, and he told me a story about Darryl. This is like, I'd never talked to him and sat down and had a chat with him, but he told me a story about when they went away for a touch tournament. Well, Mr. Tia was coaching them, and I think they were under 19s back in the day. And they needed an extra person, and just out of the blue, Darryl ended up going with them. And he's just telling me about how Darryl stole people's pizzas, like, you know, he's that cheeky little fella. And this is a story that I'm hearing about my brother that passed away in 1994, just last year. So
people are still talking about him.
He's still around. Dad's still around because people talk about them. People ask me about them.
In the lead up to the event, I suppose you can call it that, but was there, 2 days before, was there anything that was changing his behaviour?
Nah, nothing that I saw. Like I said, there was nothing. So from when he took the pills to the actual day, so it was a Mags Athletics Day. Darryl had worked at, it's called Countdown now in Point Chev, but it used to be called Three Guys. There was a lot of the boys from Point Chev worked there, and so we had the Mags Athletics Day. Went to that, did everything as usual, came home, and Darryl was at home by himself. Jay was obviously at school, mum and dad working, and Tim was wherever Tim was. Couldn't be. No, he was at he would have been at intermediate.
Yeah.
And, so I come home and I'm mucking around at home, just getting myself ready for work, just fluffing around, have a feed, relax for a little bit. And I can't remember what time I started, but I got myself ready for work. So Tim and Darryl shared a room, and me and Jay shared a room. And Tim obviously was a lot closer to Darryl.
Yeah.
I knew of Darryl because we were closer in age, and we had some of our friends were similar, you know. But and my friends, one of my good mates that I've grown up with since primary, he absolutely idolized Darryl.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, like Eli idolized
Yeah.
Darryl, Brent Turner, he idolized Darryl. And so they hung out with him heaps, and they knew him better than me. But on the day I came home, and as I was getting ready to leave the house, he came out of his room and he gave me a hug and he said, I'm going away for a little while. I won't see you for a while. And he started crying. I said, well, where are you going? And because that was back in the day when we would take trips with family friends through the club.
Yeah.
We'll go to Whangamata, go up north and stay up to Whariwhiwhi, or just go and hang out. And so I thought it was something like that. And he's, I'm going to go, I'm not going to see you for a while. Love you. Make sure you look after Tim. And he broke down, he was hugging me. And for him to hug me is, you know, very, very unheard of and very weird.
Yeah.
And anyway, I put my jacket on and I went up to work, and I was at work for about half an hour. And just Darryl was on my mind. I started crying at work, said, I got to go home. I ran home, and I got home and looking for him. Darryl, where are you? Darryl ran around, ran into their room, ran into our room, and I was searching all over the house. Couldn't find him. Ran downstairs, had a look in our wash house, because to get to our washing machine, had to go outside the house, walk down the back. It was like, it was a mission in itself, pretty much, you know. And went under the house to have a look. Not up there. So I ran back upstairs and ran back into his room and having a look around his room. And I find that envelope on the table, and it was addressed to Adam, which is cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a friend of Darryl's that he's grown up with just through playing for Puia. And they were close mates. Our families were close, well, are close. So that was back in the day, obviously, when it was a cassette. So open up the envelope, threw the cassette in the player and push play, and it was him saying goodbye to everybody. He's going through everybody's names, like all the friends, all the nicknames, all the tease names, and just going through and saying goodbye to everybody. He sings 2 songs, listens to 2 songs on it. Daughter by Pearl Jam. And Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. Excuse my language. And I'm listening to that, and he's crying. I'm crying. I'm like, don't know what to do or where to go, and I'm pretty much just numb, and I'm just sitting at the table, sitting at his dresser, just listening. The tape finishes, and turn it around, take it out, turn it around, put it back in, play the B side, and it's just him saying goodbye to everybody. And I just start to freak out. I jump up and I run around the house again, frantic. And we had a massive pear tree in the back right-hand corner of our house, in the backyard. And again, I run up and I go to check under the house again. And for some reason, I just saw his feet hanging. Obviously the branches and everything, and but I just saw his feet and I just sprinted to him. I still had my Three Guys shirt on, so I had my box cutter, pulled that out. Like, you get there and I'm lifting him, trying to lift him like that's going to do something. And then I finally grabbed my box cutter out again. I'm not too sure of the time. whether it's 2 minutes or 1 minute or 20 seconds. And I grabbed that and I calmed down with that, and I'm just yelling and screaming. And I start to try and give him CPR because I had learned that somewhere or seen it somewhere. And our neighbours to the right of us, they had lived there our whole lives. So when I was a kid, we used to call them Des and Nana, and they're an old couple. And she heard me screaming and yelling, and then I really don't remember anything else vividly as much as what I do for everything that's happened then.
Yes.
I think the next thing I can remember is people being there. My cousin Nick grabbed the lawnmower and he's mowing underneath where Darryl was hanging, or where Darryl had laid, because it was all overgrown. So the pear tree's here, and then there was a creek that just it goes down from the top of the street, and a lot of places have, and there's a creek that just goes down the back, so it's all wet and muddy, and that's the next memory that I have. What's it called? The paramedics getting there. Don't remember any of that. Just bits and pieces. But that was my next memory. Was I don't know how long after. That was Nick mowing underneath the tree. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then obviously everything else happens. Yeah.
That's it's one hell of an experience to go through, eh? It's not something you forget very quickly, right?
Nah, it's people have things that are pictured perfectly to them in their minds, and they actually know how to explain that picture to people so people can see it. And that's one that I've got.
Yeah.
And my memory's really bad. Even driving here, I drove to 251.
Oh, you too, bro.
I went to 251 and I knocked on the door, and the lady said, who is it? It's Pat here.
You're okay, I understand. But this
I don't even I can go past.
wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's it's kind of weird. Do you still have the tape? Did you guys keep that?
Mum's got everything.
Mum keep it?
Yeah, Mum's got everything. Like obviously Adam's listened to it. There was a couple of the boys through Point Chef have listened to it just because they were really tight. And they were, we all grew up in each other's houses. Like I'd go stay at friends' place that lived down Walker Park, and next door to it. And when we're kids, we'd go stay at each other's places. Our parents would all drink together, and Mum's got all of her stuff somewhere, and in storage. There's stuff that she keeps on her, that she wants to keep close to her, which is understandable, and man.
I think, how old was Darryl?
So he was 18.
And the year was?
94.
94.
Yeah, so he turned 18 on the 3rd of December. On the 22nd of February, he hung himself.
Yeah.
Was
that the first suicide that you were aware of? Had that happened a lot?
Yeah. Nah. Definitely that was the first, but over time, it just you hear about all of them, and you know a lot more.
Yeah.
Those sort of things, it's not it is a life changing, but it's also a real awakening to being aware of a lot more things. It's
I mean, you probably feel a bit of guilt along with everybody else in your family that you should have done this, should have done that, but I think the reality is I don't think you could have done anything. It sounded like Darryl was pretty committed to doing what he did, and probably not many people were going to be able to change his mind, right? Was that something you had to learn or accept, or do you accept that nowadays?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's you know. That's why they call it committed suicide. They say committed suicide because he was committed to it.
Yeah.
Long before the actual act. He was committed to taking his own life.
Because a lot of planning has gone into this, right?
Yeah.
The tape, the where, the location,
Yep.
you know,
The time, the day,
the saying goodbye.
Yeah, everything. There's so. Yeah, no wonder I hate planning things. No wonder I'm a spur of the moment guy. Jeez.
The effects of that as well has been devastating for the family too, right? Especially mum and yourself, obviously, that you found them there, and those sort of things are, as I said before, they're long lasting and they stick in your head, eh?
Did you find that it in some sort of way brought you closer together, maybe your parents?
I would love to say that. I would love to say that, but it was a bit of pushed everybody apart to a certain degree, because you know the stigma behind it, and people wanting to be there but not knowing how to be there without asking things, wanting to know things, and so people tended to stay away. And because mum and dad ran the touch, we were close with so many people, like so many people. We had a very large, tight community because, you know, mum and dad would, not only the teams playing, but they would organise the refs, obviously. We had a DJ down there every Friday, so people would, down at the Ponsonby Club down in Western Springs. And there, every Friday night, have a DJ. Mum and dad organised party in the park, so they had a DJ out on the main field at the front, and all the teams had barbecue or whatever and just having drinks, and everybody's just socialising.
So it's just, I guess, since then and in the years gone by, what have been some of the ways that you've sort of been able to sort of process what happened and deal with the whole event?
For me, a large part of it was talking with other people. So the more you talk about it, the easier it becomes to obviously paint the picture for people. I still get muddled up and I get tongue-tied. But yeah, the more you talk about it, and also like the more you listen to other people too, because everybody's got a story to share that's that they keep to themselves. They only share it with certain people. So yeah, just I've become the person that people talk to, not always, and it's not for anything else but because I've learned to be a good listener, and actually hear what they're saying. That's probably, that's definitely been the biggest learning and thing that I can take away from the experience with Darryl committing suicide, was not just to talk but to listen.
With the experience that you went through, did you ever feel like doing the same thing? Or did you ever has depression hit you because of this? What has been some of the long-lasting effects of going through such an experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not something that I think about. Darryl's not something like the negativity and how bad it got and the darkness that Darryl ended his life with is like, I've carried it with me. I don't think about it because I'm a positive fella, so I like to think about happiness and the good things, and I'm aware of the darkness, but like I just try not to let my mind think about that. But you know, your subconscious just moves where it wants to move. And yeah, it's come and hit me and weighed on me, in my life and my everyday life from then. That with depression and was diagnosed in 2012. And it's, you know, obviously there's darker times where you do get lost in it and you can sit in it. You have to train your thoughts and your mind frame to recognize when you're going there, so you can do the things that will help take you out of there, just for that moment, because it's easy to get stuck in the darkness and want to go hide in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to realize that darkness, see it, and try to walk away from it, and stay away from it. Just leave it over there. Talking about things helps to bring a bit more, shine a little bit of light into that darkness. Again, who's to know for how long? Could be forever, and that bit of darkness is gone. So you try to shine a light on another part of your darkness. Yeah.
2012, you were diagnosed as having depression.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's still carrying on today, but you're handling it better. You understand it better. You know why? These are answers that you've answered. Because you're still quite chatty. You're still cheery.
Yeah. Well, you got to be. I'm a big believer in silver linings. I'm also a big believer in family. A big believer in being content and appreciating what you have, and
Being grateful.
yeah, just and not just be grateful about yours, but when you're an empath, you see other things that you're grateful for that person to have in their life, or for that experience. Like for this, I'm grateful to be here, to be able to share. Sharing is so important, and it does help with people's mindsets. There, just being able to share stories.
Yeah. One of the many reasons why I wanted you to come on, obviously, your story is one that I'm close to as well. But I think it can be quite educational to people that might be thinking of doing it. It also might help people that have somebody that has done it and are going through it at the moment, whether they went, a year ago, 2 years ago, or whenever they lost their loved one, and to hear somebody that has survived that journey and is doing well in regards to going through the darkness, as you put it, and coming out the other end and still coping with the darkness, but coping with it where you can carry on with your life. Because I can only imagine, and I don't know because I've not experienced what you've experienced, but it could consume you, as you say, and it's really humbling that you're here talking about it so openly, I think. And yeah, hats off to you, man. That's cool as.
Pat mentioned that you used to run a men's group back at Queen's.
Yeah.
Really, tell us about that, bro. How was that as an experience?
Yeah, that was good. Like I said, a lot of people come to talk to me about their stuff, and because I was diagnosed with leukemia in 2012.
Yes.
Leukemia and depression in the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
So that was what led to me going to seek help and going to therapy. My marriage broke down during that time, and it was just everything. That was when I went to my darkest, and I guess so. What put me into it honestly pushed me, and I understood everything that Darryl felt on that day.
Yes. Because you were in that situation.
I was in that situation, 100%.
Yeah.
I sat down at the bottom of not our street, but the street over. You can walk around to and they were just building a new overhead bridge down in Waterview, so all of that motorway there. And I sat there and I was in tears. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'd gotten myself into such a spot that I didn't know what to do. And so I sat there and I looked at the bridge. It was at its peak. And I thought about how I was going to jump off that and make sure that I landed on my head so that I would die. I wouldn't get paralyzed. I didn't want to be paralyzed. I want people to have to look after me, They're just become even more of a burden. And so I made sure I was like, I got to land on the top of my head because I don't want to survive it. And I sat there and thought about it. Finally, again, I'm not too sure about how long it took, but I walked up to the top and I sat there on that bridge, on the motorway. and I just thought about my daughter. I thought about my parents, I thought about my brothers and how it would affect them. And I just, the thing that made me snap out of it is the thought of somebody else telling my daughter. Excuse me. So it was from there. I was like, man, got to do something. Don't just fall into the darkness and stay there. All these people around you, all these people around me, family, friends, yourself, everybody's already been through that with our family. And it wouldn't, I knew it wouldn't be fair. And so, from that moment on, that's when I made a conscious effort to try and change my mindset, or to alter it, or just not give in to it. Because it would have been easy. Like I said, I sat on the corner, right on the edge, swinging my feet at the top, and just picturing, I'm gonna land there, on that. Like I didn't even want to. I can't land in the lanes because that'll just hold up traffic. I gotta land in the main strip.
Target.
Yes, stupid. I had a specific target.
That's committed, bro.
Yeah, I had a specific target where I was gonna land and how I was gonna land. I thought about the height that I would have to jump. I thought about the arc that I would have to have to make sure that it was straight down and I wasn't on my back, so I'm paralyzed on my front, so broken bones and stuff. No, I wanted to be gone. Yeah.
Wow. And that's going back to Darryl, was probably something that he went through, right?
Yeah, and because of the experience that I had with him, I didn't.
But you can, not how easy it is to get him, but sometimes when life chucks things at you, 3 in a row for you in this instance, how that becomes the option, eh?
Yeah.
And the option that makes sense until you sit there and start thinking about the people around you, and then you realise, oh no, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This is not the way to do it.
And because I'd seen what it had done to all the people around me, honestly, we were such a close community. Everybody would hang out at each other's places, like I was saying, and we'd all do things together. We used to go down, go down the club and would stay down there, and mum and dad would be drinking with all the uncles and aunties till whatever time it was. We'd be asleep underneath the pool table, or and that stopped happening. We stopped.
Yes.
People just stopped talking to each other to a certain degree because worried about what sort of pain it might hurt to hurt that person,
Yeah.
So you actually noticed that change? Obviously, right?
Yeah.
So from that's after Darryl committed suicide. After that, everything changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
When Darryl committed suicide, everything changed. Yeah, everything in my whole entire world, because, and so on the day that Darryl committed suicide, Jay was playing for the Auckland City Vulcans at Kauro Park.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they were there.
Yeah.
They were there watching Jay's game.
Yeah.
So for them to find out from Jay's game, get pulled out of, so that, I understand and I know my first-hand journey, what's happened, but Jay's journey and Mum's journey and Dad's journey and Tim's journey, everything that they went through with Darryl's death. I think about all the time. I mean, we never actually sat down as a family to discuss each of our day leading up to Darryl passing. We never sat down as a family. We had a couple of counselling meetings, and we all did individual counselling, but we only had maybe 3, I think, as a family. And it was so.
That's pretty minimal for the amount of drama and heartache and
Yeah.
devastation that you've just gone through as a family unit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was, again, not just us, but everybody around us as well.
So, because you went through that experience, does that make the guys in Point Chef come and feel like they can talk to you and open up to you?
It's a whole lot of life has gone past, gone past, and relationships have grown, and every relationship you have with every single person in your life is different.
Yeah.
But because so many people knew what happened with me, there's some people, well, there is a lot of people that know what happened on the day, because they'll ask me and I'll tell them. But yeah, it's just something that'll never leave. And again, there's different levels to people's pain, but just because it's not as severe as what you think it may be, it doesn't mean it doesn't weigh on them heavily. And even with my leukemia, okay, so how I found out I had leukemia. So in 2009, I used to ride my bike from Mount Albert, Gladstone Primary? So my ex-wife, her family home was right on the back of Gladstone Primary. And I worked down Henderson Valley Road. And so I rode my bicycle to work.
Nice.
1, 2, 3 days a week, whatever. And this morning I was riding to work. So I rode down Carrington Road, went to the mobile station, pump up my tyres, and I was riding through those lights, the intersection. And as I was coming down, a courier van sped up to go into Carrington Road.
Yes.
Yeah. Boom. I did a 5.5 meter backward float. I can't remember how long I was out for. Again, time was all over the place, but it was 7:45 in the morning, maybe 7:30. And it was, I can't remember what day it was. But because I didn't die then, because I didn't die, I only broke a small bone in my foot. But I was on crutches for I think it was about 12 weeks maybe. Because I didn't die there, they saw that all the testing over that period from the date, they found that my blood count was irregular or was playing up, and they just kept an eye on it. They didn't tell me anything. So that happened in 2009, and 2012, I was diagnosed with leukemia.
And it's a rare form as well, right?
No, it's old people's leukemia. So 85% of the people that have it are over the age of 60. My hematologist been the first one that I saw, he's been a hematologist for 30 years or whatever. He said I was the second youngest person he had ever heard. Well, he had ever been the doctor for to have it.
What is leukemia?
So it's a blood cancer.
Blood cancer.
Starts in the bone marrow,
Yeah.
right? And sort of the cells, the stem cells, basically, that start in your bone marrow. Cancer, basically, they keep multiplying, right? So the problem with that is that if they don't multiply right or they don't function right, it can affect, maybe in your case, your white blood cell count, or even your red blood cell, because red blood cells take oxygen to the muscles. White blood cells fight infections.
Oh, right.
So, if you're having problems there, it's...
Yeah, so the easiest way to explain it is so all your cells, they die off after a certain amount of time. You think of your cells as factory workers, they go and be a part of the production line. When everybody else goes home, there's one that just won't. He's dumb, and the output that he's doing is crap, is sloppy. And that one dude is just, all of his cells are not dying off, so it's just more crap. There's no quality. He just hasn't clocked out.
So you get chemo or?
So I've had chemo twice.
And you can still play. You can still run around and play league.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm young enough to, and they found it early enough
Oh,
to make a plan.
Yeah.
So my first lot of chemo was 2016, and that was the 3 drugs up at Auckland Hospital. At the start of all, like the first week of the month, I would go up and sit up in the chair up there, and I'd pump the drugs into my veins, straight into my veins.
Yeah.
Have half a day there. Of course, it's supposed to be only 5 hours, but you know me, I thought I'd stay there 10 hours.
Not playing out.
They,
Don't want to play out.
they said to me, they said to me, people have different reactions.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so I was sitting there, and they said, so you might get the shivers and feel cold.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, so some people break out in blotches.
Yeah.
I break out in pink blotches
Oh, yeah.
all over my body. And I was freezing, so yeah, I had to be taken out of that room and put into a room by myself.
Oh, wow. Because you had pink blotches. Oh, really?
And I was really cold too.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. So how are you coping with that now? Is it controlled or?
Yeah, it's
It's an ongoing
it's
thing, right?
manageable. Yeah, it's manageable, but it was something that I'll never get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my second lot of chemo was 2018. They said from the first lot that there's 3 categories, well, 3 groups of people that you fall into. You don't need chemo or treatment 10 years or more. Some people need it 6 to 7 years after they've had that first lot. And worst case scenarios, you'll need it within 2 years again. I was racing and I needed to have chemo in just over 18 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and because the first lot of chemo I did was 3 drugs, I could only do 2 of those 3 for my second lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
Wow. Still here.
Still here.
Still is.
Still having a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because now I'm on a drug trial. So part of the reason for selling our family home,
Yes.
the home where my brother passed away, the home where we also lost our dad. Sold the house partly because the drug that I needed isn't funded here. Nah, so it was going to cost $100,000 for a 12 months worth of the meds. But so we sold Montrose. Me and Mum, we bought again in Newland. Mum bought again in Newland. So we moved to Newland, and during all of this time, you know, I'll never ever fully understand what Mum went through, and so it's, you know, obviously again weighed heavier on her, a hell of a lot heavier. You know, I'll never know what it's like to lose a child, and I hope nobody else ever feels that. And me and Mum are close. We can talk about anything, and like we'll almost come to blows, and then the next day we'll go out for breakfast, you know. And yeah, like you were eating. Like, well, you said this. It's like, okay, yeah. And so we had a bit of a blue there, and you know, I've been with Mum since 2012, since my breakup and my darkness, and like everything that I did, you know, it hurt my mother to hear her say that I broke her heart. It hurt, and whether you like it or not, we're all human, and we don't consciously hold grudges or hold anger at somebody, but subconsciously it's there, and it's still baggage. And so we had a bit of baggage towards each other, and you know, we had a blue, and I ended up finding a place out west, and because it was within the North Shore zone, I got onto the drug trial, and I get the drug for free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason sometimes.
Yeah, again, silver linings.
Yeah.
Silver linings of me not dying when I got hit by the van, they found leukemia.
Yeah.
Silver linings with me having real bad argument with mum, you know, one that took time to overcome. I got into this drug trial. You know, even with Darryl, the silver lining with Darryl is that I'm still here to be able to talk about it.
Yes.
I'm still here to be able to share.
That's right.
There's silver linings.
Yeah.
And the major darkness of my life, there are silver linings.
Anything in closing, cuz?
Yeah, just a big thank you, brother, for coming in and sharing your story. We're definitely grateful that you are still here. I'm sure that anyone that hears this story and sees this story, I think you're going to help save a lot of people and save a lot of people a lot of pain and suffering, and hopefully inspire and encourage them like you to take that step to get the help if they need it, and to share that darkness and that pain with people around them, so that we can all move forward in life. So thank you very much for your time.
I'm more than happy. I mean, and again, if anybody's watching this and anybody wants to reach out, I'm more than happy to come and listen or have a chat. Anybody, because we all need to help each other out a bit, you know. And again, whether it's just an ear that can change the world for somebody, you know, change their outlook.
Well, from my perspective, you know, thank you very much for coming in, bro. You know, like I said at the start, I've known you guys for a long time, and you've meant a lot to me, growing up. You know, after I left school and finding a family outside of my family, and we spent a lot of time together, and got to know your family really well. And obviously, when Darryl took his life, it was a shock for me as well. That's the first time I had experienced suicide and had known somebody who had actually done it. You know, may Darryl rest in peace. You know, I miss him. I was in town maybe 2 or 3 weeks before that. We were driving around. He was looking for something.
Something, somewhere.
So we used to have a lot of laughs, and he was looking for his boys or his girlfriend or something.
No, he's
We were
looking
going
for
to
the
the other
girls.
clubs. But I have my own memories of Darryl, and you know, I
definitely.
remember him fondly, and an amazing league player, gone way too soon. But he had his reasons, and I guess we'll never really know what they were, but they have impacted a lot of people. But thank you very much for coming in and sharing your story. You know, I look to you as a fine example of a person that's brave and has become wise, and you know, almost stoic with your ability to tell your story and express it in a way that especially us Pacific people can understand. You know, we can relate to it, we can understand it, because it's coming from somebody that looks like us, you know. But yeah, it took a while to get you here, also, but it's well worth it, bro. And I'm glad you came to the right address. And yeah, all love and peace to yours. But thank you very much for coming. It's been a little bit different, our podcast. We're normally a little bit light-hearted, and you know, but tonight's been a good one. Been a good one. So we thank you, man. God bless you, bro.
Sweet.
As I always sign off, all love, no hate. Fala, yeah.
So what?